Welcome to another episode of Social PR Secrets. My name is Lisa Beyer, and I will be your host. Today, my guest is I, and she is an entrepreneur who started an organization called Classroom Without Walls. We both met while we were teaching at a university to a class on social media management. We both had something in common. We wanted to take the common academia and turn it upside down and teach real-world social media. In this episode, I shares with us some of her personal challenges along the way, how she started her class, and how she transformed herself into the entrepreneur that she is today. We have so much to learn from her, and I'm so excited for her to share her story with you today. Welcome, I. To another episode of Social PR Secrets. My name is Lisa Beyer, and I am the host. And today I have my very special friend, I. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. So honored and excited to be on your show, Lisa.
Yes, I think the last time we saw each other in person was at Inbound, right?
2 years.
Yeah, and that's when you were still living abroad, and now you're back and you're living in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I wanted to have you on today's show is so that you could share. I've watched you grow your audience, grow your channels, really grow yourself into, yeah. So tell us about your journey. Tell us what you're doing now and tell us your story.
Yeah, totally. So I am a college professor, or I was a college professor. I taught in higher education for quite a few years, 10 plus years. And I teach social media, PR, communication courses. And so about 5 years ago, and I had my wake up call as a teacher. And I realized, many of our students, undergraduate students, we call them like digital natives, but they didn't really understand how to use social media for like content creation, for networking, for business development, or building a personal brand. They had no idea. So that was really interesting for me to see. Like I see that in my students' reflection. They were like, what is that Pinterest? So this one particular student didn't know how to spell. Like he was like this, that. And even though I was talking about, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, in all of my PR classes, I was like, what was the missing link? I was talking about them, but clearly my students, they were not learning. They were not receiving the message. So I discovered I was the missing link because I was teaching by the book. And I personally didn't really embrace social media myself. I came into my classes, I blah, 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 and then I packed up, I left the classroom. That was it. So that was my first wake-up call, and after that wake-up call, I decided to change how I use social media. I decided to become a practitioner myself, to really show my students the power of what I was teaching in the classroom. So that was really the beginning. The intention was to be a better college professor. That was it.
And it worked.
Yeah, I definitely became a better teacher. My teaching evaluation has definitely improved. My knowledge of PR, communication, social media, everything has become so much deeper. And but the intention was really to serve my students better. I never thought about quitting my job or building my own school, this or that, to speaking and consulting. Never ever. The intention was really to serve my students better by embracing more a practitioner role as opposed to this PhD, this traditional professor, like this pure academic. So that's kind of how I started.
Yeah, and I love how you took it to the next level. So you became more of a social media practitioner and merged it with your teaching as a professor. But then what I love is then you ended up writing the social media certification course for HubSpot. So that was huge. And I actually used that for my class that I taught at University of Florida for my students. That was their midterm project, was to complete that certification, which it wasn't easy.
Yeah, definitely. Like I noticed I was sharing content all the time, and people started to notice me organically. I didn't do any paid ads, this or that. completely organically. People started to recognize me. At the same time, I also 3 years ago, I launched my very first live streaming show. Now I have two now. And that show was really my way to break down the classroom, the physical walls, to bring in like professionals like you, Lisa, to teach my students something and to co-create content. So the show was definitely generating more attraction, more leads, so to speak, and more recognition or visibility for myself. I also started blogging, being really active on LinkedIn the past 2 years. All of those things combined have really helped me like a lot. And so the social media certification with HubSpot was amazing. And we also worked on another course, which is Twitter strategy. And so last year when I was at Inbound, I even did some in-person interviews with them. So and also working with Adobe, last week I did a live webinar for Adobe education. It was incredible. All of those things have just come to me organically.
Yeah, and that's, Social PR Secrets is all about leveraging organic, and with public relations, when it comes to PR, it's, so much more credible than any type of paid advertisement that you could do, but it takes time. It's something that doesn't happen overnight. And it's, I've watched you grow over the past 3 years.
Yeah, definitely. Like I, at least for 2 years, I started to see more traction and meaningful engagement, especially if you are thinking about paid, like speaking gigs or consulting gigs, and they definitely take time, at least in my case, in many of my friends' case, and there's no overnight success, yeah.
So what is the name of your two shows?
And so one is the one focuses on where you came to my show. Thank you very much. And that one focuses on social media marketing. So I bring in professionals, digital experts to talk about strategies and best practices. So I go live on every Wednesday. So the other show is actually on Friday. And that one is called What is School For? And the show is really inspired by my interview with Seth Godin, who really asked me to explore this question. And then I turned it into a live streaming show. So on the show, we discuss, debate, and disrupt education with the intention to really future-proof the next generation. So the other one is kind of future-proof your business. So this one, the second one is more future-proof the next generation, more like the educator, like kind of what I do as an educator. And a few weeks ago, that show is also growing, and I just interviewed the former VP of innovation at Disney, and he came in and dropped so much value. Like I have people in my community, they told me, hey, I have to watch it twice to fully absorb the tips, and that makes me very, very happy, as a teacher, this.
Yes. And I mean, right now we're going through a huge disruption with teaching, and the next generation is, quickly having to learn how to, all of a sudden, everybody's being homeschooled. We're kind of used to it because we're used to teaching online classes. We're used to communicating with students that are taking online classes. I homeschooled Kennedy for her first year of high school. So it's not a huge shock to us, but the whole world is kind of going through this very fast learn of
Really?
how to figure out Zoom, and how to not have a live classroom. But you were ahead of your time, and it's perfect timing that you were also telling me about how you started this Accelerator program. Can you talk to us about that?
To speak of which, it's so interesting, because I started this really a few years ago, and all of a sudden, my skill set has become popular. I actually gained clients, and it's really interesting, in retrospect, how important it is to always embrace this a lifelong student mentality and just keep learning. I wasn't really expecting anything. I just love this. I keep learning, and I made lots of mistakes. I also, we were talking about this earlier. I also lost friends, and just never give up, keep learning. And then when the time is right, and all of a sudden I feel like, wow, I didn't realize my skill set was this popular. So yeah. So talking about my Life Accelerator program, and last summer I resigned from my university officially. It was hard to say no, to say goodbye to my tenure track associate professor position. But I think it is the best decision I have ever made in my professional life. So last summer was kind of my official recognition, and I started to ask myself some questions. I started this journey, classroom without walls was just a hashtag for me to teach my class, to host my shows. And I started to ask myself, what if, a number of what if questions. What if I built my own school? You love digital detox. I also love meditation. What if I add meditation to my program? What if this? What if that? I was like, yeah, why not? So about like August, I decided I'm going to launch my school and build my own program. So that was in August, and I love international traveling. I decided to have my very first program in Singapore. And so fast forward to December, I had my very first program. Parents came, students came from 6-7 different countries, and we had a blast. Parents, they were like crying every day. We started with meditation. We also visited Adobe office in Singapore, HubSpot office in Singapore, and quite a few startup companies. We also did a collaborative activity with a top entrepreneurship school, university in Singapore. So really good. And I gathered lots of feedback from the parents, from the students. And this year I'm doing a 3-month program, completely redesigned that pilot program into a 3-month program. Now it is called Life Accelerator. We teach students what schools are not teaching them to become future ready. So we have our own framework, we teach new media knowledge, really important for students to understand how they can use social media to market who they are, to engage in storytelling and the story selling, and also engage in very simple video production, talking to the camera, use whatever tools you have to create a quick video. That is more and more important. So that is one foundation. We also talk about life skills, emotional intelligence, persuasion, adaptability, a number of important life skills. And the last, which is our foundation, which is mindset, how to think like an entrepreneur, even though you are not going to become one, and engage in self-love and self-awareness and regulate your own emotions. So that's kind of our pillars. Just me as the lead teacher. We also have quite a few digital mentors who come in, bring their own unique expertise to teach our students. We have like pre-recorded video, Zoom calls, group coaching, and access to LinkedIn Learning, and quite a few different certifications and assessment, and of course, meditation. So that's kind of what the program is about, really help parents to bring more ease and confidence and success, especially right now, to their own homeschooling journey.
Yeah, I think it's such a great point, if it's possible even to teach the skill set of how to think like an entrepreneur, because not that you have to be an entrepreneur, but to think like one makes you so resourceful in your mindset. It's not just like, well, what do I do next? You kind of have to figure it out.
Totally.
Right.
I agree. And like I listened to quite a few podcast interviews, and those people shared they are kind of entrepreneur. They have their own company, but they still work full time. But running their own company has helped them become a much, much, much better employee. They started to bring that entrepreneurial mindset to what they do as a full-time employee, go figure it out, being very creative. Yeah, so many benefits.
When I was teaching my class at University of Florida, and I'm sure you came across this too, I taught social media management, but through the lens of a public relations practitioner. And my students, my first couple of semesters I was teaching, they would take the class and they were expecting an easy A because they knew social media, because they're on social media. But they quickly learned that social media for business is quite different than social media from a personal standpoint. And it was just very interesting watching their transition to the end of the semester, and they were just like shocked at how different social media works from a business standpoint than from a personal standpoint. And they actually had a lot to learn.
Totally. My favorite line from my student was this one kid. He told me, "Hey, Dr. I, you know what? I can actually teach you something about social media." I said, "Yeah, definitely." But I can see what they were thinking about social media is very different from what they are going to learn in the class. It's so true. And all those people, professionals who hire undergraduate students, majored in social
It's shocking.
It's like
yes.
a disaster.
It's a disaster. I mean, I was like, after the first couple semesters I was teaching, and the whole joke about, hiring an intern to do your social media. Well, it really is a recipe for disaster unless they have some sort of training, some sort of, even if it's the social media certification from HubSpot, Hootsuite certification, anything that really takes them through, the business side of social media. Super
Oh,
important.
really?
But I want to get back to your personal branding and some very actionable tips that you can share to anyone that might be just starting out and they want to grow their personal brand into a business, but maybe just they're out of college or they're out of work right now. They have maybe a little bit more time on their hands because we're under the circumstances that we are right now. So what can people do right now?
I think the first step is to actually start creating content that is aligned with your professional goals, whoever you want to become. If you want to become a musician, or if you want to become a social media practitioner, or if you want to become an English writer or teacher, whatever your goal is, and start producing content that is in alignment with your overarching career goal. And like for me, like prior to launching my live streaming show, I was very active on social media, especially on Twitter. I did gain lots of connections, but in terms of growing my business, I really started to see substantial growth after I launched my live streaming show. And you really have to start producing more content. When you are sharing content, good content, and showing up consistently, and people started to see you as a thought leader, as opposed to you always like chasing this person, that person, and you need to start producing content to build yourself as a thought leader, right? For me, it is live streaming because I just love talking to the camera. I love going live. It is very collaborative to me. But for you, maybe it is a podcast, or maybe you love blogging, or maybe you love drawing cartoon, whatever it is that you are really good at, and start producing content and show up on a daily basis. And
Yeah.
like over time, like I promise you, like if you can do this over a period of time, at least 1 year, consistently showing up good content, valuable content that is aligned with your career goal, and you are going to be noticed. You will become known. You will be noticed by other people in the industry, like interns and like paid gigs. They will come to you.
Yes, yes, I totally agree. One of the bits of advice that I would give to my graduating seniors at University of Florida would be to, look at their Instagram accounts and look at what they're posting. Is every picture of themselves? Because that's really not a personal brand. Like,
Mhm.
Creating content that's not all about you, and taking even if you create an Instagram account that might be like your second one, and that's your professional one, and you're creating content on that, that's really showcasing who you are and what you can do versus every picture on your Instagram of yourself.
Yeah, and maybe even like prior to what I shared earlier, before you started producing content, and maybe you need to do a social media audit, right? Google yourself to see like what type of content shows up. I frequently Google myself. A few days ago, and one of my friend Bray, and she published an article on Search Engine Journal, and she analyzed 8 people in terms of their social media presence, and I'm one of the lucky 8 people being analyzed.
Great.
And so she said when she was Googling me and everything showed up is perfectly aligned with the Classroom Without Walls, my LinkedIn, my website, my video. And I worked hard to get to that stage. So like people watching this live or watching this on replay, start like with this very simple exercise. Google yourself, do a social media audit, detox irrelevant people, unfollow, or groups unfollow, or at least create a separate account that is more professional, really represent and showcase who you are, your skills, your talent that you want other people to know.
Yes, yes. And some of the things that we've both done actually to help build our personal brand is you have to make yourself available. I mean, most of the speaking engagements that I've done building up my brand were for free. I didn't get paid for them. And, it's just something that you have to do to build your credibility. So you
100%.
can't buy You can't buy yourself into a personal brand.
No, no, no. Or like, oh, the purchasing like fake followers. I mean, like not even fake, just purchasing followers. I don't ever do that. It doesn't really work. And you just have to. There's really no shortcut. Whoever tells you, hey, I promise you that you will make $1 million over 3 months. I don't know. I don't think it's going to work. Yeah, maybe for short term, but definitely long term. If you stop showing up, stop doing the work, like there's no long term success. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were mentioning video as one of it's your go-to. This is how you built your brand is through live streaming video. Your classroom is through a live stream video. So what are some tips that you can offer when using live stream video? If there's 3 most important actionable tips that you could recommend.
Yeah, I think the first one is really like getting started. Like so many people who come to me ask me, "Hey, I like about live streaming, what equipment should I use? This and that." And I want to tell you, your phone is
Mhm.
actually good enough to get started. I mean, like I met so many people who have invested in very expensive gears, but they actually never launched a live streaming show, or maybe they did. They give up already after 3 episodes. They discover this is really not for them. They don't actually enjoy it. You want to make sure, even though everyone is talking about video, you want to make sure this is something that you actually enjoy, because people can feel your energy. Like here, you can
Yeah.
probably feel that I love this. I love doing this. Even though nobody watch my show, I can still talk. I still entertain myself. I just enjoy this, right? So like really my first number one tip is getting started. Do like just use your phone, on Facebook, or like it's more if you want to do it more privately. So maybe you in your own Facebook group, nobody can see this, or you create a separate group, or like you can make this really private. Give this a try. Give this a try to see if you actually enjoy this. And I think that is a very big question you need to ask yourself. Can you actually show up on a daily basis and doing this type of thing? And second is, so once you feel like, oh, this is really good for me, I really enjoy this, people are watching me live, blah, blah, blah. And then the second one is really ask yourself, okay, how is this live streaming show going to help my business? And so many people, not just live streaming, but social media in general. People do social media because, hey, everybody else is on social media, or this is really fun, which is good if you are not running a business. And if you are running a business, or if you are using this to fund jobs, if you have a goal, you should really align this live streaming show with your overarching goal, right? So for me, social media marketing, that is one show. The other show is about education. Both of them serve my business really, really, really well. And live streaming is hard. It is hard, like you have to put on some makeup. You want to make sure that the lighting is okay, this and that. It is definitely hard work, right? And you want to make sure you are investing in something that there is actually an ROI. So the second one is really have that alignment and like think strategically, content calendar, even the people you are going to invite on your show, if you are doing show, or if you just want to talk solo, and which is also fine. So think through this and have at least 1 month content calendar in terms of the topics you want to discuss. The last one is probably, and if you want to invest in some like equipment, I will really do that as the last. You want to make sure sound is good, lighting is good, people can see you, can hear you very clearly. And like right now, for me, I have my own system. I actually go live on different channels simultaneously. I go live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Periscope, and on YouTube. So I have my own system, go live. What do I do prior to the show? What do I do during the show? And what do I do after the show is over? How am I repurposing the content? And how am I using that sent to my list? Like there's an entire system, equipment, processes, systems. So that is more like after you do this for a few episodes, you see, you have more clarity on this and how is this related to your business. And then that's kind of my last tip: create processes, systems that you can really maximize the value that you shared through your live streaming content.
And so how do you go live on all the different channels at once? Do you have a certain piece of equipment that does that, or do you have different
Yeah, so I use a different. I used to use Be Live. I think this is Be Live,
That's
right?
what I'm using. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't use Be Live anymore. I use another one, StreamYard, StreamYard, StreamYard.
Okay.
And so that actually allows me to go live on multiple places at the same time. I
Okay,
really
cool.
love it. I started
Thank you.
StreamYard, I think last year in March, and I go
Okay.
live. And actually, many people don't know this. On Twitter, there is a feature called the Media Studio. So when you go to Media Studio, they have another one called the Live Cut. So Live Cut really allows you to edit your live streaming videos. And I use Live Cut all the time to get like 1 minute or 2 minute like video clips. It is
Mhm.
so easy to use. And
Okay. Thank you. Those are great resources.
yeah, it is my so not so few people actually know about this. So I get a few clips and I post. I can make them 1 minute or 3 minutes, however you want, how long you want to make it to be, and I post them Instagram, IGTV, LinkedIn, different places. Yeah, there's another one I use. So sometimes for my live streaming show, if it's really good, I will actually turn it into a blog article. I use another one called Alter, OTTER dot
I use
AI.
that.
Yeah, it is magical. And
It
what
is
I do,
magical.
I just download the video, the live streaming interview, and or sometimes I just go solo to teach something. I download that video and then upload the video to Alter. And then after 5 minutes, there's this beautiful transcript for free. And I just copy and paste and revisit that and turn that into a blog article. So for those of you who are actually really active on LinkedIn, there's another feature that is really like on fire right now on LinkedIn. It's not LinkedIn video. It is actually called LinkedIn Documents. Everyone have this feature. And so I just create a PDF document and upload to LinkedIn. Like sometimes I use the document to recap. I add a picture of this person, I add a picture of me. Here are the 5 key takeaways from this interview. Kind of almost like a newsletter. And people really love that. And LinkedIn Documents, I even gain, like one time I shared a document and just like a stack of pictures. And I gained like a warm lead, consulting lead out of that document, which is amazing. Like 50K views. Like I never got that many views from any other platforms. So LinkedIn Documents, definitely check it out. It is really amazing.
That's a great tip. And you know what? Newsletters are making a comeback, I think. Print
Mhm.
newsletters and PDF newsletters, I think, are making a big comeback. Old school is becoming
Totally, and
like,
even like I was even thinking about as for my own life accelerator program, I actually purchased like a list, not email list, but like physical list, like people's address, their names. I'm thinking about sending people some stickers, like some brochures. There's also this video brochure. Like when you open the brochure, it's like a 3D, or there's actually a video you can watch. And that is so amazing. Like I don't personally receive that many mails anymore. When there's
right.
one that is kind of handwritten, it's like really personalized, it's for my own children because I care about education. I would really open. I feel excited if there's like a video, a QR code I can scan. That is really amazing. Yeah, as you mentioned, Lisa, old school is coming back.
Yeah. So this is a newsletter that I just started subscribing to. And basically, it's the monthly recap of the podcast, Hustle and Flowchart. And
Wow.
so it puts everything in like, just like, look, like an old school, like,
Oh wow.
and I have to subscribe to it. I pay for it, $15 a month, but it just shows you that, things come back in cycles and, you
Totally. I
know,
think that's just because it's less crowded. Like my email inbox, my DM on all the social media platforms are bombarded with important information and spams, unfortunately.
yes,
But
yes,
like
yeah,
our mailbox, the physical one, we don't really receive anything nowadays. So I think that's it's almost like an oasis. So if you can
yeah,
think of some really creative ways not to spam people, but actually to serve them, give them something really valuable at the same time also serve your own needs. People may give this may like this. So I'm thinking about I actually just purchased those people's contact information and think about giving this a try.
yeah, yeah. I love it. Well, you have just shared a wealth of information with us. Can you share with us any sources that you think would be a good source for people to, you mentioned Search Engine Journal. I write for Search Engine Journal. I love that source. What else do you consistently read or would you recommend?
I actually set up like Google Alert, and I set
Mhm.
up Google Alerts for like education or disruptive education and the social media and marketing. So every time when there's like every day, I just look through my Google Alerts to check out articles. And so that is another way for me to stay updated on what's going on. And Search Engine Journal is good. I also follow Social Media Examiner in terms of social media marketing. I check out their podcasts. And recently, because with my own school, my students have access to LinkedIn Learning. So I also have gained access to LinkedIn Learning. I'm actually going through quite a few courses on LinkedIn Learning, and that also helped me a lot to just like stay updated. Yeah. And podcasts,
That's
there are so many podcasts that you,
so many podcasts. Yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy
yeah. I think if you
in a
always
good way.
learn, there is like no shortage for you, free resources for you to learn. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So I just want to end this with our encore talk about digital detox secrets. And, you know, what are some digital detox secrets that you're doing now or that you've always done that you can share that's working for you?
Oh, definitely meditation. And you know my story. So a few years ago, after I kind of decided to reinvent myself from being a traditional college professor to become more like a speaker, consultant, and entrepreneur, and it was really a very tough personal journey. And I had friends who were like, "Oh, like I still don't know. I guess we spoke different languages." And I got blocked on social media. It was a very devastating experience. I think in 2017, at the same time, we were in South Korea. I was trying to relocate to a foreign country and trying to figure things out and also reinventing myself. And then here, my friend, a good friend, did something. I felt like I was being bullied, but I couldn't see that at the time. It was really tough, devastating. I was crying for so many days. Oh my God, nothing could cheer me up. Even though talking to a friend, I felt happy, maybe like 5 minutes. As soon as we hang up, I felt like, oh my God, this feeling came back again. So, and that's how I rediscovered Dr. Joe Dispenza, really my favorite meditation teacher. And after I discovered him a few years ago when the movie The Secret Law of Attraction became really popular.
Yeah,
So I discovered him, but I kind of forgot about him after my life became like pretty good. And then like in 2017, I was like, oh my God, I was so depressed, like I don't know how to get myself out of that dark state. So I rediscovered Dr. Joe Dispenza. I listened to all of his books and I started to meditate and changed my life. Changed my life. I truly believe entrepreneurship is an inside out journey. And the more you work on the inside, the more you are going to transform the outside. But unfortunately, including myself, so many of us pursue this as an outside in approach. We think if we just work harder, if we just work longer hours, everything will be fine. I don't think so. I think you really have to start from the within, make the internal foundation so strong. You start to see yourself as really worthy. You start to believe in yourself. And that's when you start to see your external life is going to flourish. The external is a manifestation of what is inside. So I'm such an advocate on working on the self. I'm preaching to the choir, Lisa.
no, that's great advice. I
So
love
if you
hearing it. I
can
mean,
really work on yourself and detox and to really be in touch with your authentic self. Social media can be quite toxic. I share with you, I
mhm.
got bullied, but now even if other people like bully me, block me, I wouldn't feel that bad. I probably will still feel bad, but maybe like an hour or so, then I can easily move on. Why? Because the validation already comes from the inside. So once you can achieve that level, like I think you are ready for entrepreneurship because there is good things. There are also lots of bad things that may happen, challenges, mistakes, rejection, failure, all of those things. And the only way for you to overcome, to combat that is to build the internal foundation, make it like rock solid. And that's how
Yeah,
you keep moving on. Yeah. So that's kind of
yeah.
my tip. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it could be very daunting, and there's the whole imposter syndrome, and your confidence and insecurities kind of creep up on you. So there's a lot that can,
Oh yeah, totally.
we're
And I deal with that, self-sabotaging. You just feel like, oh, I'm not good enough. Even nowadays, like recently a big brand, like cause I do distance learning, distance education. They're like, oh, we want to sign a contract with you. I was like, really me? No, I'm not good enough. And I can like the good part is now I can recognize that and then I can regulate that. But before I couldn't, I just like entered that dark hole, like, oh, I'm not good enough, like blah blah blah, start to self-sabotage. But now I don't. I recognize that, I stop, I regulate, I can move on pretty faster compared to the old me a few years ago.
All right, that's great stuff. Thank you so much for sharing. I really, really appreciate you being
Oh,
a guest and sharing all your social PR secrets. And if you ever need anything from me, I'm here for you. And hopefully we'll see each other in person
I
one of these
know.
days. Yeah, again. But thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to add? Any special offer you're having, or any place you want somebody to visit to find out more
Oh
about
yeah,
your
totally.
classes?
I have like I actually, cause so many parents have come to me and asked me to give them some advice with this homeschooling, distance learning, especially their children's relationship with social media. I actually did a 4-part free training. I can share the link with you, and people
Okay.
just watch the free training. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yes, definitely share the link. We'll put it in the show notes. We'll put it in the comments, and have an amazing rest of the day.
Oh, thank you so
No,
much.
namaste.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Social PR Secrets. If you like what you heard, check out the book on Amazon or follow our blog at socialprsecrets.com. This episode was sponsored by The Buyer Group, a social PR agency striving to keep our balance in the digital world, practicing public relations, social media, and search marketing, while occasionally drinking a glass of wine or two for the best creativity and results. Thank you all for tuning in. If you would like to get a free chapter of Social PR Secrets, go to socialprsecrets.com/free.